Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of AngularAir. On today's show, it's pretty exciting. We got a lot of cool stuff to cover today. We're going to be checking out this repository. It has a lot of stars with some example code of how to do really like an enterprise app in Angular. So excited to get in there, dive in, find out the bits and pieces, what make it work, and let's meet our guests and our panelists and get to the content. So first we'll say hi to our panelists. Joining us today, we've got Mike's with us. Mike, what's going on? Or not Justin. He's not Justin, apparently.
I'm not Justin.
How's it going, not Justin?
I'm doing well.
Justin.
That's great. That's great. Alyssa's with us. Alyssa, what's going on?
So glad to be here.
Awesome.
Just to point out, Alyssa is also not Justin.
Thanks, not Justin. Appreciate that. Bonnie, who's also not Justin. How's it going, Bonnie?
It's going great. Happy Friday. I'm very excited about the episode tonight.
Yes. So are we. It was nice in the very beginning. It always throws me off when you're like, I'm excited about our stuff tonight. And like for me, it's the morning, but for you, it's the night. So like, okay. So apparently still trying to get adjusted to time zones at my old age. I'm not sure why it's so difficult. But
I mean, if you're still struggling now, I don't know if you'll ever.
I don't think it's going to happen, is it?
It's probably because I was there and now I'm here.
Yeah. All right, super excited. We have a guest panelist today. Connie's joining us. How's it going, Connie?
I'm good. Happy Saturday. It's 1 a.m. here. So...
Another loop. Okay.
Yes! Happy Saturday! Oh, that makes me happy.
Yes. Well, basically, I'm a Terminator, so I'm from the future.
Nice.
Wait, can you tell me, how is Saturday going? Am I going to like it? Is it good?
Yes, you will like it, because we don't have to work on Saturday.
There we
Connie's
go.
Been watching the show for a long time, so it's really, really exciting to have her here with us.
It is quite an honor.
Yeah.
It's the honor to have you on.
Yeah, I've been watching for 3 years. I used to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch. Thank God you guys changed the time. Otherwise, I have to rewatch it tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah, you were definitely an influence in when we wanted to change the time. We're like, okay, how can we fit in, our viewers and our guests and help us have an earlier time, and then what time fits, across the board as best as possible. So glad to hear that you're excited about that. Hey, so do you want to introduce our guest today?
Oh, yeah. So Trung is my friend. He's a Vietnamese developer based in Singapore. So he's been using Angular for his company for 4 years. So I met him because of a tweet on Twitter. So he and his friends were working on this project called Jira cloning Angular. So he was making the announcement of the release of phase 1. So it was so cool. Even Minko and Jeremy Elborn retweeted about it. And then later he used Angular to write a retro Tetris game for his wife. And then he offered top prizes for top scores. I played for a while, but my score was so low I didn't win anything. So I think it's cool because he uses Angular to make cool applications. I mean, not just enterprise that Angular is known for. That's why I recommend him to Bonnie, and Bonnie is generous enough to invite him to the show. So thank you, Bonnie. I mean, thank you, Justin, and I mean, Mike and Alyssa. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us this awesome guy. As soon as I went to his Twitter and I'm like seeing who's retweeting him, I'm like, wow, this guy's cool. And then I've been talking to him and he's so nice. So I'm very excited about this show.
Bonnie, you said that like, if you're cool, you can't be nice. Like, wait, he's both.
No, it's like a double. It's like the icing on the cake. It's like it's a bonus because he's doing all this cool stuff, and I'm looking at his repo, and it's like that's really cool. And then I talk to him, and he's so friendly, and then here he is.
So actually, Connie, tell a lot about me. Even I just couldn't make this nice description about myself. I think it's really a fun run.
Dude, Connie knows more about you than I know about myself. It was ridiculous. That was awesome.
Connie's a good friend to have.
I've been following your tweets for a while, so you may get scared if I tell your life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, how's it going? Our guest, do you want to tell our viewers a bit about yourself? If there's anything remaining, right?
I just, like what else left? I've been to Singapore.
Your name is pronounced Trung?
Chung, yeah.
Chung. Say it. You say it better than I do.
Yeah, it is like pronounced Chung.
Trung?
Yeah. In Vietnamese it means loyalty. So my full name in Vietnamese is like, Vo is like martial art. You can do like karate or wushu or whatever it is. And Tuấn is like handsome, and Chung is like loyalty. I didn't really know like the full like meaning of that. So I just rephrase like a guy can do martial art and then loyalty and handsome. So I hope I didn't disappoint my parents.
That is epic.
I think they're probably very proud.
Oh, yeah,
so what are you going to show us? You're going to so you have this cool Jira clone that you built. Can you tell us before you start why did you build it? What inspired it?
Oh wow, actually we're putting on the slide, but I can tell you earlier. It is more like, it is not like I wrote it from scratch. Like I saw a cool Jira clone written in Vue.js. And I've been working with Angular for a few years, and I actually didn't really see a cool app like Jira clone, like stuff like that. Normally when you browsing the web, you see like Instagram, WhatsApp, like Facebook. But for Angular, there's few things missing. I don't know why, it's just weird. And Vue and React.js, they have all the cool applications. So yeah, I just start with that purpose in mind. So I just saw the Vue.js code a bit, like I go through it. And at the end of the day, it's like I change the source code a bit, I tweak, I plug some Angular library. I try like ng0, the like UI component library with Angular. So yeah, at the end, it's look like a good combination, and I was pretty happy. But I didn't really like thought that's gonna be take off one day. Yeah, it's like 1,000 stars is a lot to me, obviously.
And now you're famous.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So show us.
What else? Yeah, there's so more. Like, oh yeah, sure. So let me share the screen. Actually, I'm sharing. Can you guys see it? Wait, no.
No, it looks like there it is. Okay, let's see. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, nice. I just saw a slide bit. Oh, sorry, I was in the middle of something. I will just revisit the slide bit. So I prepared this slide for a while before, and it is naming behind the 1K star repository. So I prepared it for AngularAir, like specifically, yeah. Yeah, that one we can mostly skip, but at the moment I'm the front-end engineer at Netlify. So just give me like 10 seconds to talk about my company. So it is like a platform that help you to earn like some cash flow from cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, stuff. So you want to learn more, check the Twitter handle here. And as well as I'm a community leader of Angular Vietnam. So the group now has like 13,000 members. And it's really happening. So we provide guidelines and support to our members on Angular journey. And yeah, I think pretty much about me. So today is just, I'll show you the Angular Jira clone. Connie has mentioned about that. Some of the motivation are just missing just now, and I'll show the high-level architecture a bit. And then just after the high-level architecture, just show you some decision I made on the way, like how to plug Tailwind, why like Akita, not ngrx, and the last part is deployed to Netlify Heroku is like optional. So yeah, I think we get it started. Jira clone is basically simple, like simplify Jira build with Angular. At the time I wrote it was Angular 9, and yeah, it's just an example of real world Angular code base. So let me show you quickly. So that is what is displayed on the screen. I deploy it to jira.chungka18.com so you can see it on your screen if you want. So Jira is like the tool for managing like software or any like kind of project. So the idea is like you basically define your tasks or they call it issue, or story or bugs, and it's been by default put into the backlog. And then you wanted to bring it to the next iteration, you can put it to selected for development, and then you are working on it, then just bring it to the corresponding column, stuff like that. Like you can move it around and move it to done when you've done it. So you go into one of them, you can change the title probably and change the description. So it is a reject error. You can put some HTML cool stuff in. Here is some custom dropdown mostly. And yeah, I think it's just about it. Some functionality, some cool stuff, drag and drop. So yeah, it is pretty much Jira clone. And the motivation, like I mentioned before, I saw a lot of Angular example on the web, but most of them was pretty simple. And what I wanted to see, like usually is more like the real world that I'm using every day, like Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. And I also wanted to experiment some library that I wanted to try for a long time. But in my previous company, we stick with Bootstrap and Material. So I didn't have ngrx and Tailwind at that time. Also, I was adopting ngrx at the very early, so I didn't have try Akita as well. And after 4 years, yeah, obviously I wanted to just share up my experience in one showcase. And also, at the time when I start to develop the app, I wanted to write some tutorial how I build it. So it will be featured in the series called 100 Days of Angular. It was started by one of my friends, and then we just keep adding more content to it. But sorry, at the moment, only in Vietnamese. We have some English translation, but it's not the full series. So now it's halfway there is like 40 tutorial. The tech stack I was using was very standard. I was using Angular CLI to create the application. Akita for state management, using Netlify for simple API. But at the end, I'll just change it to use just a sample JSON file. So now what you see on Jira is basically just very static, I guess. All of that, it's just live on client side. It's not getting saved on a database or getting fetched through API. It's just purely client side. Some UI module with Tailwind, CDK, ngrx, ngrx, and then deploy to Netlify and Heroku. So walk through the high-level design, just how I manage the structure of the project. So I have the app module, the big one, and then there's a core, could be authentication and other stuff that I wanted to share across the module. And I have the project and login, just lazy load component. So I don't load the big bundle when I load the app, and there's few UI control that I can share between across module as well. So say in Jira control module, I have the text box. So it's going to be used on project and login. This is how the code look like. Where's the code? Sorry, just give me a moment. Unlock. Yeah, so it look like on the code there's a project, then there's a work in progress, and you go to app routing, you can see that you go to project, it's been right away fetch the project module, but it's lazy load or the other one. The login module is just on phase 2 on different branches, so you're not seeing it here. And for Jira control, it's some of the share component button or input or the icon. For each of them, it could be live on its own. For input, it could be input module. But I mean, for the purpose of this application, I just put all of them into this Jira control module. And I think it's all about the high-level architecture. So I think before we continuing, you have any question? Because if I just go all the way, so it's going to be very long, I guess.
So on the
if not, then I will just continue.
On the Zorro thing, so that's what you use for the UI component library. Are you using that? I'm not too familiar with that one. So is that a component library for display?
I think it's the UI look like. I mean, this look cool to me. It's feel also is like one of the controls look very similar to what Jira has built in. So I'll just utilize it. They provide a lot of set of components. I think it's even more component than material, I would say. So
and so then
do you know who wrote it?
Sorry.
Sorry.
Do you know who wrote ngZoro?
Alibaba, a company based in China. Alibaba online store. It's like the China version of Amazon.
And so then your Jira component library that you have that you're sharing, does that then use Zoro to do? And so you like combination of that, or like your input components and things like that.
Interesting question. I think like Jira control is like my own custom-made component. So all of the ngZoro I will still importing in the right place. Like if I use it in the project module, I will import it into the project module. And in like Jira clone, it's just on my custom-made like the button and stuff like that. So I just want to make the look and feel a bit like similar to what is Jira in production.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So if we just I still continue sharing the screen. Maybe can click a button. Yeah, nice. So I think we go to Tailwind now. So I was wondering. I mean, at the time when I start to look at the source code at Vue.js, they use Tailwind, and I know about that before, but I never really tried it. So in short, it is just the Utility first CSS framework. So which means that they predefine all of the class for you, and for one class there's one rule. Like the W-16, it's just like with like 4 rem. Let me show you quickly what does it mean. I think it's on that side. So here I put my just the photo, and then if I put W-16, it's going to be like with 4 rem. You can see the screen, and if I put MX auto, it will bring it to the central, because MX auto is like margin left and right is auto. And then if I wanted to make the photo rounded, I'll just do rounded full. So instead of do rounded body radius 50%, just do like 900, and then I just do a bit of margin bottom, like 4 maybe. Yeah, so basically all of this single class have one rule, and then when you compose it, you can write your code without defining your own class. And I feel it pretty useful sometimes. So let me go back to the slide, because I got this used a lot of time. Oh, and I come up with this because a lot of front-end engineers that I met, they didn't really enjoy writing CSS. I mean, because I don't know why. It's just how we work, but yeah, most of them didn't really like it. So whatever. The reason I use Tailwind is mostly is like when I need to do a simple, like I put 2 buttons next to each other, and then I wanted to do padding left to 1, or margin left, or I wanted to put the cursor pointer into a span, for example. I have some approach to do so. So the first one is like I put the inline style, like I put the button with the slide, and then I put the rule. But doing it is difficult to override, because style is like almost the strongest level you need to override. So you want to override it, you need to put important, which is not good. And the code like going to be messy, and you need to like refactor it. It's going to be difficult in the future. And the second way is like you create your new class for each element. Say I wanted to do the padding left for 1 button. I just create the corresponding button for that, like button class for that, like my button. For the icon, you wanted to have the cursor. I just put my icon with cursor pointer. But sometimes I feel it very like tedious, like just a simple rule, and then I wanted to have it somewhere that I can reuse. But doing this, there's some benefits. Like if you put it into an encapsulated component, it will just stay inside the component. So you define another my button like else like on another component, it's not gonna conflict each other. Say another one, you put it like padding left 10 pixel, that's fine there. But also because we put it inside the scope, I mean, sometimes I want to reuse it, so it's difficult, right? So I mean, that's also the advantage and also disadvantage. The third way is like I can create a set of components CLS on the top level component, and it's been available the whole application. So I put the PL-1, which means like padding left 5 pixel. You want to put padding left 10. Probably I wanted to put PL-2, which is padding left 10 pixel. But this one is like you can reuse the class everywhere else, but you need to spend some time to structure your CLS, because if another member put a random rule, it's gonna break the standard, and then for you to review, it's also not so easy. That's why the third way is probably the way I wanted to look for, but I just couldn't find it. So when I look at Tailwind, it provides exactly that, and that's why I decided to use Tailwind for Jira clone to just experiment something nice. So first of all, they have a very clear documentation with most of the class that I need. Like you can do the width or padding or margin or cursor or display flag, all kind of stuff, and container. And it's maintained by a lot of big community. A lot of people are like giving pull requests and stuff. And also it is providing you your support on Visual Studio Code, or what's the code? WebStorm. Yeah, on the modern IDE, they also support it. And one of the concerns is like when I look at Tailwind, because they provide a lot of entity class like width, margin. I mean, they provide like a huge class, and the size is big. But they also support the perk CLS, like you put in the flag, and then the size will be reduced like magically, because it only takes the class that you use. So I think I have the screenshot for that. So this is the one before I do the perk. So the style is like one mesh after minifying with the whole Tailwind stuff. But after I put in the perk, so it's been clean all the unnecessary class. It just go down to 2 kilobytes. So it's only what I use on the application, which is really good. But I mean, there's a lot of advantages, but also if your team member is joining, it's going to be a bit of learning curve. They need to run through documentation for a few hours or a few days to get used to with the syntax. But I think it's worth the effort though. It really is help to speed up the deployment process. Yeah, I hope I will convincing you to try Tailwind next time. But it's really, if it's work for you and it's work for you, I don't have a very strong opinion on that. And also, when you look at Tailwind, let me go to another example on code. I think on the side. Not that.
How do you load Tailwind? Can you do it with the CLI?
There's a schematic.
Now there's a schematic. But before that, I need to do custom webpack. Like I need to do a bit of like custom. I create the custom webpack.config.js, and then do a bit more like installing npm. But now there's a schematic. Also from Nginx. Then I forgot to put it on the slide.
And so is that for that build process, the purge process, the schematic and the stuff you needed to do for Webpack to support that purge, where it would eliminate the styles that you didn't have?
It's like you just do a simple command. Just like I'll show you quickly what I mean. So there's
lost Connie.
Oh wow. Tailwind. Okay, here. There's Tailwind. And then it's just the single command. So you just run ng-add, nginx, Tailwind. They will do all of the stuff like for you. Basically, it just added some dependency and then update the config and update angular.json and import some style into style.scls. And the perks option is like you define it on your Tailwind configuration. That is this one, tailwind.config.js. But I think here I didn't put it in. But I think on the other project, just give me a second. Tailwind.config. Yeah, here's this a lot of stuff. Yeah. So here I just put the perk enable, and then you put some rule, and here I put some whitelist because I don't want it to be perks. And yeah, it's just my custom rule. Is it answer your question, Justin? Yeah.
And then what is it? Yeah, like in the Angular JSON file, what does it put in for that?
Oh,
is there like a builder that comes in for?
So instead of using the default Angular builder, they use a custom webpack. And then I need to specify the webpack.config.js. And that's how the webpack config.js look like. So it's a bit like it's been run through the SCLS file that I configure when I create the project with CLI, and then apply the PostCLS loader on top of that.
And so the ng-add schematic that's there now does all the setup, including this webpack config file. It's like a one run, and we get it, right? Which is cool. We don't have to do that anymore. But prior to that, you were mentioning you had to create the Webpack config and the custom builder in order to plug in this step.
Yeah, that's
Is that correct?
Before that came in, I need to do all of the work, like manually.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. One of the things it's awesome that you presented the stuff on the CSS. I'm a big fan of CSS. I think we have a couple other panelists that are fans of CSS on here, and some that aren't. But I love it, and so it's cool to get that in. And I haven't really dove into Tailwind yet, so that was really awesome to see that. One of the things I want to talk about is this the purging, right? And the ability to do that. I wonder, like, even taking it another step further and being able to have it purge for lazy loaded modules, so that, you know, if somebody comes into your app with a URL and they're only loading some of your code with lazy loaded modules, could we also only load some of the CSS that's needed for that? That'd be a neat step to get to.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about it because at the moment everything is import into the big one, like the global. Yeah. So if we have the ability to do like per module, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, maybe I create a pull request. I mean, I don't know. I'll thought about it. Because
now the size that you showed that it got down to is pretty small. So I'm pretty happy with how small that is. But it'd be neat, to see if you could do that even further.
Right after the show.
I know, right? Thanks for volunteering him. That's good stuff.
It wasn't my intent.
I appreciate that.
I wasn't I was putting it out there as a thought. Sorry. No expectations.
I was just very excited. I just say it, but maybe I never really have a pull request.
So one of the things I think about when it comes to the global styles and this concept of you know, doing it at that top level and then just using it throughout your components is, on the flip side of that, if you want to try and start packaging some of your components as Angular elements, right, and be able to export them and use them separately, and they have a dependency on this global style, then that means you got to ship the global style with your element in order for that to work, right?
Yep.
But possibly with this and with the purge and kind of alluding to what I talk about with the modules and the lazy loaded and splitting that, if you could also get to a point where you could say, look, I'm deploying this Angular element, and maybe it'll automatically work out of the box. If you create a new app for your element build and you do the purge, it will find the elements that the classes that you're using and only build a global CSS file for those things. So I would imagine you could probably get there. But that's another thing that I kind of think about when it comes to the decision of, do you do global styles in your app and then just use them throughout, or do you need to centralize them closer to your components so you could ship them independently if you needed to?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, usually for my use case, like I need to reuse a lot of like simple rules, like CSS rule, and what Tailwind is bringing me is really just I mean, I never really ship a component as a library, so that was something to consider.
Yeah, but this is really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So I think, I was about to talk about this apply syntax. So basically what is mean is lies. Just give me a moment. I think it's here. Okay. That's where. So here you can see. So I have two buttons on the screen. So there's two buttons look exactly the same. But to build it with Tailwind, you need to put a lot of class. Basically, like a bit of padding, like the font size, and then the color for text and background, and rounded a bit. And when you hover, you expect to see some style. But like it is just one simple button. But if you need to put like 10 buttons, it's like you need to copy it over. It's gonna be nightmare. You need to change one of them. So Tailwind, they have this apply syntax. What is that is that you go into your SCSS file, and you do a simple class name. It's just whatever it is, and then you do apply, and you put exactly the same name, like class name, that you put into the class just now. For the pseudos like class, you cannot do hover and then colon something, but you need to put it like like you write CSS. And at the end of the day, you will just take the rule before this class and apply to this class. So you will check the just inspect it. We see a lot of rules. So here, there's a lot of single rule like pixel and font size and border. But if you check this one, the class name btn-tailwind, it set everything inside one like big class. And I found it's helpful when we wanted to reuse the component in the future. Yeah, that is just.
Is that similar to extend? Do you think, like, because I know I was thinking whenever you were showing that, I was like, oh, why don't you just extend those styles inside of it? It looks like apply might be like a one-liner way of extending a class, maybe, but like with CSS.
Oh yeah.
Add extend.
You mean extend like the extend syntax? SCSS, right? I really never really use it. Yeah, I think it's very similar.
Very similar, and I wonder if I'm wondering if behind the scenes, like apply is using extend. So I was like, I see what you're doing there, Tailwind.
Oh yeah, interesting. I think it's gonna be the same, but the syntax is really like that, right? I forgot. I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah, honestly, it's so much better than like having all of that inside of your markup. Because you're right, like I get so overwhelmed sometimes working on projects where the class names are like the biggest thing in your markup.
Okay.
You're like, oh god.
Thanks. Yeah, I just didn't thought about it when I write it because I rarely use extends. I would say so in my code.
So I think there's a good lesson here too for anybody who might have tuned out for CSS is like, I'm not in the CSS thing. This is kind of like an architecture pattern thing you're doing it here, but it's also a concept that we think about, which is cool. Like with Tailwind, you're separating everything out into little reusable chunks, right? And then you're having the ability to compose together experiences from those chunks. Like you're doing here, you're composing together a button experience from smaller individual pieces. So you have that freedom to do all of that. And it's not just a CSS thing, it's a code thing, it's a component thing when we think about making smaller components that we could compose together into like a bigger component experience and things like that. So it's really an architecture concept that permeates throughout everything we develop, not just CSS, which is cool.
Yeah. I take on that. Yeah, I think with that,
Can you say it again? I tuned out as soon as you said CSS.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
I think he said he tuned out as soon as I said CSS.
Yeah. I must have blacked out.
That's why you're
Sorry.
not
the whole Tailwind part. Back up about 15 minutes there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think with that is like I'm done with Tailwind. It's just all the reason. Oh, not yet, not there yet.
I thought that was really nice. I hadn't seen that before. It was really slick. Very cool.
Yeah. So this is how I do a bit of custom like Tailwind configuration, and I build the layout with Tailwind. Like when I build the app. So when you look at the app, it's like there's three boxes, like the left side, there's a sidebar, and then the content. So it looks exactly like that. There's a nav and the sidebar and the content. And on the tailwind.config.js, you can define a custom rule. So it's gonna generate the class rule based on what you define on tailwind.config.js. So give me a moment. I will go back to the code. It's gonna be very similar to what you do with SLS variable, but it's with Tailwind. So yeah, I think. Oh, is it not? Not the one. Not the one. I think it's just files Tailwind. Yeah. So here I define some custom token for my thing. So I define the navigation like navbar left with 64 pixel, and then the sidebar with 240 pixel. So with this one, I just go into the navbar left component. Then on one of the component, I just apply the width. So this syntax is specifically taken from the tailwind.config.js. So if I do w dash this navbar left, I think it's auto suggest for me. You will take the width 64 pixel. So it's just the auto suggestion here is because I install one of the plugins. So it's been just taking from the config, and then it suggests for me here. And if you go into the inspect, you can see it look exactly that. So if you go into the navbar content, yeah, here, navbar left content, you see exactly the width 64 placed in. So what I mean is like you can define some of your configuration like custom made inside the tailwind config.js, and then you can start to use it on your class or yeah on the apply syntax. That's how I do it with Jira clone. And yeah, that's it. That's all about Tailwind. So yeah, before we get jumping into another topic, you have any question? That is the time, yeah.
I think we should hop into the state management. I had a lot of classes. I probably delayed us a little bit on the CSS, so sorry. But yeah, let's get into the state management.
I mean, here is very like my opinion on the state management. So yeah, it's just my, yeah. Maybe you might have a different. So state management, you guys probably is familiar with that. It's like to have the idea of a centralized place. We have all the data in the application instead of like spreading it over the application in each component. So it is to avoid the state manipulation, because you will pass it down and then you mutate a list of something, and then on the parent component you have a 20 item, but on the child component you just delete one and you're just missing the gap. So using a centralized place where you have the state management could help you like manipulation the place everywhere, and also the code look more predictable and easy to catch bug, I guess. And yeah, when you do with asynchronous like HTTP code and stuff, like signal are coming in and then the HTTP code is still ongoing, what are you doing? So all of that you can put it in the centralized logic. But at the beginning it is very difficult to get, to be honest. So the state is the definition. I put it here is like the data, whatever it is, or all of the variable or all the component. Maybe it's not the one, but it could be a store. But what is modified is like it is a behavior of the application given at a time. So you just check like the UI need to follow the data model and then render it on the UI. So it's not containing like custom stuff, and it's not synced with the model. So I mean, modify is more like it is the single place to store all the data, and then you just render it on the UI. So when should you use it? For Jira clone, I think state management is the must, because I have a lot of level of the component, like high level, like from app component, it go down to a lot of component before. So if I just passing down the, if I passing down the component down, it's gonna look like that. And if I need to propagate the event up, like from the bot DND list, I want to propagate the event into the project component. It's going to be a lot of level, like back and forth. We can use service for that, obviously, but with state management, we can do some more than that. So that is the use case. I think is the good use case when we wanted to use the state management. Like instead of passing data around, you just send it to a state, and then you subscribe to a data, and then we got it and render it into the UI. So the state management is like when you install a library, it will provide you a tool to create data structure and provide you a way to update the state, like the data when something is occurring, and also provide the development tool like Redux dev tool. So we go into ngrx, which is one of the famous one and one of the first one, like at the state management for Angular. And when I look at the diagram for the first time, I was a bit confusing. Not very confusing though, but I feel like there's a lot of concept here I need to understand. So this is my opinion about why not ngrx, because I need to create a lot of boilerplate when I write. I mean, it's 2 years ago. Now, I think the syntax is a lot better. Like they provide a lot of look like Redux toolkit. So a lot of improvement over time, but that is my thing at the beginning. I need to create a lot of boilerplates. And when I need to fetch the data from API, I need to create usually the 3 action. It needs to be fetched. It needs to be finished successfully. And in case there's a problem, I need to create a failure action for that. And also I wanted to use effect, because based on the definition, effect is the right way for you to do side effect like HTTP code, so that you can write unit tests easier. It feels like a lot of code needs to be written over time, and I don't know, it's just weird. Like when I introduced it to my junior teammate, his was like I mean, I don't know, he was dying, because he was just graduate and then he didn't even work with Angular, so he needs to know Angular concept. And when you work with Angular, you need to know IJS, observable stuff. It's not promise. There's a lot of stuff behind, and now there's ngrx. So I would say for my teammate at the beginning, it's a painful process, and at the end he got something. But I mean, after 1 or 2 years, not sure where he is, but yeah, it is my opinion on why I'm not using ngrx, and that's why I find Akita is easier to understand for easier for beginner, for the junior or the one who didn't have a lot of experience with Angular. Do you guys have any question on ngrx? Because it's just my opinion, so probably you guys have the opinion on that.
I think I'm good. I want to hear some more about the Akita stuff. We've had a bunch of episodes on ngrx. Into that. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on what the Akita is solving and how that makes that simpler, right? In the concepts there. And I want to just point out, the one of the points that you just had on your slide earlier, it was the 3 actions really that you had to have when you're making a request to get some data, right? The request to start it, the request that's the action that's in progress, and then the concept that it was completed, and even if it erred, right? And so to scaffold all of that, when all you're really doing is you want to call and know that it was completed, I think that's one of those challenges.
Yeah. And I will show you the code, but let's go through Akita quickly. So it's just very few similar. If you work with Angular, still build on top of ngrx, and encourage simplicity. They provide some built-in stuff for you, so it's a bit lesser boilerplate required. And they said it's based on object-oriented design, but I didn't really feel it. But whatever it is. So let's look at the Akita on Jira clone. So basically, I have a project service where I communicate with the API. And then I have the store. So the store, I need to define it initially with the Akita syntax. And when I need to query from store, I need to inject it into the project query, which is another service injectable. And when I need to query the data, I need to inject the project query into my component. And I take data from the project query. And when I need to fetch, for example, I fetch the HTTP code, I just call project service. And then in the service, it will update the store. So just give me a second. I will show you the code. Sorry. So let's go to the project. Where is it? Yeah. That's sorry. Project. Here, so by default, I just create a initial state, and it will based on one of the interfaces I define. So it's just the shape of the project. So it extends the J project that I define. So this has some ID, has some issue, has some user, and by default, I just set the two arrays to an empty array so that I can do a lesser check later on. And on the project store, it's like you just extend from a store with the shape of the state. The store is like the one you import from Akita, and then just do super and then do create initial state. It will like create your project with the name project, and then yeah, you can start to use it. So you go to project query, you can inject the project store into the query. You do a super so that they know what it is. And they provide some of the built-in like the e-loading. This select loading is built-in with Akita. So for every single store, you have the loading state built-in. So you don't need to put it into the project store. You don't need to put like another loading boolean like for stuff, yeah, something like that. And if you need to query any stuff, just take it from the store. Like you can do the store.select, I think somewhere. Yeah. So just take you put in the key. I think it do auto suggest for you. So you can select whatever it is on the store itself. And this is the query part. But also the store also will like provide you the snapshot of the store at a given moment. So you want to get the real object in your hand instead of getting an observable. You can do it with the store.get value. So the main thing is like happening on the project service. Say when I wanted to do a get project, I mean in Akita they don't have the concept of effect. Maybe they have it, but I didn't see it. So they said just inject your HTTP service into your project service and do the get quickly. Like here, I just fetch it from a JSON file, and I'll just do the power to set the loading of the store. So it will set the loading to true when it's initialize the request, and we set to phone when we finish. And on tap, like when it is finishing, when it emit one value, I'll just update my store immediately. So I don't like dispatch an event to get the project, and then this get project will initialize the HTTP code, and then when I finish, I will dispatch the load finished event, and then the load event will update the store. Everything with Akita is happening inside one single function. So I feel it's very, very natural. Like it is the way when I just get started with Angular, that is the way I was looking for a state management. You have the data somewhere, you fetch it, like you do HTTP and then you update it, and you can query it. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, it's just my opinion. Yeah, and you can do the set error. This is the one that's built-in as well. Yep.
I think one of the things that reveals is that when you have this need to do like a workflow or a chain of responsibility, right? Like you say, hey, look, I want to allow my component to say get project, and then I want these things to happen in this sequence, and I want to know when that sequence was completed, right? And you can do this like you see here in just this observable chain that you've done, yep. Right? And you have these side effects of, okay, I'll stash the results over here, or I'll catch error and throw error here, right? And so when you call that, you get this behavior of this business logic that you've got that ensures that runs that way. And the challenge, if that was broken up into something like actions, and like you mentioned, you say dispatch the action to do the fetch, and then dispatch the action to set the data, or dispatch the action that a failure was made. That's a disconnected set of things that potentially somebody could come in and just call one of them. And so you can't really, you lose control of that business logic ruling that you want around that chain of responsibility, right? Yep. So I think that's what you're alluding to and you're describing in terms of concept that's hard to grasp for people with the ngrx and that sort of thing is that need here where you say, I want all this work to happen, and then I want to know when it's done, and I want these side effects to happen, right? And I want to ensure that always happens when somebody calls get project. That behavior always happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think with ngrx, I was getting a hard time when I mean, if everything went well, pretty okay. Like I have an effect, and I was just waiting for the data to come in, and I just set the data from there. But when I get an error, and then I was having a situation with my friend, like we have an error, we dispatch an error, and then on the guard to activate the route, we were trying to listen to the error, but it just never comes. So I just couldn't figure out why, because I mean, technically it should come at the time where the HTTP request is failing, and then we just need to display a simple message, and then we navigate user back. But it's so difficult. So that's why, I found Akita some situation very natural and easier for me to handle. But maybe I just didn't get the ngrx stuff correctly.
I've heard from a couple people over the years that tried Akita, and I've never heard anything bad about it.
Yep, nice. That's nice to hear, because I didn't see a lot of example with Akita, so not sure how it's going. But for me, it's very nice to have.
I'm sure this is one thing that's led to the bunch of stars, and the fact that like you put this repo together that has these examples, right? It's an enterprise type applications, and it has, we've seen how you can utilize Tailwind in that. Now we're seeing how you can utilize Akita. And so it's a great example, code base to get an understanding from a development standpoint of how we bring these things together all as one in an Angular app. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's all about Akita, I guess. Is it? Oh yeah, that's it for about Akita, I guess. Yep. That part is very simple to deploy to Netlify.
Can I add one last thing about the whole Akita point? Is that choosing a tool for your application is not necessarily about, hey, what does the community say I use? Why should I rely on people's scenarios that aren't necessarily the same as mine? But make the decision that's best for you and your project, because that's the appropriate solution. Whatever works for you and your project, whether that be ngrx, whether it be Akita, whether or not be just straight RxJS or anything else, to use the appropriate solution that makes the most sense for your project.
Yep, I think that really makes sense. It's whatever is work for you, then that's good enough.
We love everybody.
I think now it's the Netlify. So I think it's the last part, gonna be very quickly. You never really deploy your app into to the like public the app before. Maybe this is for you. So Netlify, I'm not like trying to advertise and promote Netlify, but the process is simple. I think there's a few similar, like now, like what's it, now.sh? Vercel. Yeah, it's Vercel or whatever. I forgot the name. So Netlify is like you can just, usually you push your code into a GitHub, and then GitHub repository, and then you just go to Netlify, you connect your GitHub with Netlify, and you just select the project you want to deploy. You can select the repository from there. Like for me, I just select the Jira clone. I did it before. Okay. So it will appear here. You just select it, and you just go into the build option. Because I have already done it, so I just show you what I have. Just go back to my not user setting. The project, so it's the Jira.creating. So go to the site setting. You can find the place you can define your build command. So you just need to define your build command and your publish directory. Usually it's just the this folder. And then you just deploy it, go to deploy, and you just trigger deploy. And after a while, it will have a custom-made URL for you. By default, it will just generate a very random domain. You want to do custom, you need to know a bit more, but by default, we just give you a domain with something.netlify.app, and when you open it, it just open your code in Angular in serving in server. Yeah, that's very quick. I think that's all for that part. Deploy to Netlify.
And Netlify has a GitHub action that can automate the deployment process. So I tried to deploy like Vue, React, and Angular app, and that action is really easy to implement and save me time to log into the Netlify site to click the deploy button manually.
Yeah, I think built-in they will automatically deploy when you push your code into master. You see, like here, I just push it to master and just auto deploy. But when you push to a branch, like just a feature branch, it also do the deploy preview to make sure that the branch is working like properly. It will not break, so you know what happened on the cloud, because it's not like it's work on my machine anymore. And thanks Connie for the input. And I think with that's it. I think that's all for the slides today. And thank Connie.
Thank you.
For introducing.
Thank you. I just cannot keep my mouth shut. And I'm blushing.
We're glad. We're glad you kept your mouth shut because you brought us awesome.
Very
content.
awesome.
Yeah.
For sure.
Where's the Chrome again? How do I open Chrome? Oh, okay, yeah. Let me go back to that screen. I was missing you guys.
You can turn your screen. There you go.
Cool. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour, so we'll dive into some picks, and then we'll call it a show. We'll do our panelists first. Anybody have picks that they want to share today?
Oh, Connie.
All right. Yeah, Connie.
I have 2 picks. So my first pick is Adventure in Angular. Is where I met Bonnie and Alyssa and other like Angular people. And next week is the 300th show. So I hope something special will happen, right?
Nice. And that's podcast, right? Audio podcast?
Yes, we totally did do a special 300th show. If it's edited in time, we'll see. So maybe it'll just be a show of us ranting. Who knows? I don't know what's going to be published. It's a mystery.
and Mr. Brooke, last week, Mr. Brooke asked you to promote the show here. So I'm going to do it on his behalf. It's done. Okay, it's done.
Thank you.
I listened to every show for like 3 years, 4 years.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations! You got promotion. You're the host now.
I did get promotion.
So my second pick is Scoutly.io. So Hero Dev adds Spanish documentation. So it's important to include as many people as possible to a project or a community, and not everyone can understand English, because multilingual is a privilege, and language class is very expensive. I know that because I'm taking Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese, and they cost a lot. So thank you. I'm looking for word to a Chinese translation. So I'm hoping.
That was a perfect segue to my pick, because my pick is our Angular Nation Community Hangout, which is right after this show. And we're going to have both of these guys there. And also, Connie, Sonder, who wrote Scully.io, was just pinging me, asking me for the link. So he will be there. As soon as we wrap here, we're going to jump over there, and you can tell him yourself what you just said.
I like Sender.
Nice. Nice. All right. Any of our other panelists have any picks today?
I'll be out next week for taking some rest and recuperation. I know it's Turkey Day next week for U.S. holidays, but I'm also just taking the whole week off because it has been, I don't know if you all know this, but there's this phenomenon that happens in the tech industry where every conference happens to fall like right on top of each other. You're like, what is it? And then like you'll have a month of nothing and you're like, hello? So I know. So my boss agreed. She's like, you need some time off. I was like, I need some time off. Even though we're doing it all virtually, it's still taking a toll. So I'll be off next week and probably reading a book or something. Like
Your whole DevReach marathon was amazing. Like, I could not believe that you were on camera like the entire day. It was amazing.
It was so fun. Honestly, I learned so much from like creating that event and organizing speakers and like being on the other side of like actually like putting it together. So it was a lot of fun. Check out the DevReach videos. They're up. There's lots of really cool people, including these cats here on those videos. But yeah, so I'll miss you all next week, but I'll be back after. So
you won't miss us, Justin. I think we're skipping next week too, right? We're off next week.
Wait, are you? I thought there was one.
We got a vacation day.
I thought
Justin gave us all the week off. He's very generous.
Well, our guest had to reschedule, so we're
I knew it.
Our guest gave us all the week off.
I was like, I saw something on the calendar. Don't you all trick me.
And who's coming after that when we get back, Justin?
I'd have to look. I don't know.
I think it's
I'm just
me
focused.
and
I'm focused right now on the right here and now. Oh yeah. You're right.
Sonder and Sam and I will be here presenting Don't Block Your Stack on December 4th. It'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, you got any picks today?
I do. It was mentioned earlier in the show, but it's not really a pick. It's more of a cautionary tale. I went exploring on the internet to find Trung's implementation of Angular Tetris, and I can't stop playing. So if you're going to go there, don't go during work hours. Go after hours.
Can we compete, Mike? Is it something we can?
I've got my score paused. I am currently at 16,500 with 96 lines at level.
Wow, 16,000. I think it's the highest ever.
Wait, whoa! You were playing while we were doing the episode?
I told you it's cautionary tale.
John, are there timestamps in there? Can we confirm that he was playing while we were live?
All right.
Because he missed the whole part about CSS. That's probably when it happened. Because Trump said CSS and Mike just went off to the video game.
There you go, Joe.
I mean, that's fair.
You can pop it in if you want.
Nice. I know. I'm looking forward to playing that as well. So, but duly noted. I will do that later today, and not in something that might.
You want to bring that in?
Okay. All right. I'll share it real quick. Oh, look at that! Wow,
what?
That is cool.
So cool. This
you
is
need to
beautiful.
We might have to have him back on the show for a demo of this.
You need to win by getting a much higher score.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, so do better is what she's saying. Like,
I hear you. I'm working on it. I won't be able to stop playing. That's cool.
That was also built in Angular?
Yeah, it's built in Angular. Yeah,
wow. That's so fun. I'm so glad we met you. This is awesome.
I know. Connie, thank you so much for bringing Trung into our lives. Thank you.
Thank you for coming into my life.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Connie.
Awesome.
I mean, I plan to go to USA this year, but then stuff happens. So
you can go to Singapore instead. Yeah. Now we can travel between Hong Kong and Singapore.
Okay, is it allowed?
I'm staying in Hong Kong. I'm staying in Hong Kong until there's a vaccine.
Yeah. We can be friends virtually.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, my pick is. Go ahead.
I'm hoping that would be an Angular Denver. Yeah. Because I want to go to Denver.
That's a fun
Denver's
place to be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Never.
All right, well, my pick is Connie. I'm so grateful for all the viewership that you've done over the years, but then also the fact that we actually have you on here as a panelist. We definitely would love to have you back on more as a panelist. So
absolutely,
it has been great. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then Trung, our guest, thank you so much for sharing your time, your knowledge, putting together all these repos for us to learn from and experience. Big thanks out to you for coming on and doing all that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me today. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap, everyone. Thanks. Catch you next time, but not next week because we're off for a bit. All right. See you.
Okay. So I'll watch later.